How's everybody doing? Slightly late, I know, a couple of minutes. But today's class may not be entirely the full hour anyway. So, did I just lock the cat in the closet? No, she's coming out. All right, we're fine. Hello. Hi, Juan. It's nice to see you, my dear. How are you doing? Oh, and hi, Dre. It's lovely to see you as well, my dear. Welcome. Elio, nice to see you as well. Welcome. I hope you guys are all doing really wonderfully this beautiful Sunday afternoon as it is. I am feeling so very strongly that eclipse energy, but the rejuvenation and the seize the day kind of energy that it's bringing. And I ain't gonna lie to you, I'm so pleased that I took care of myself during this last little bit as we're coming to the end of it, because my cells are rejuvenating, my skin is looking fantastic, I'm feeling it, and I'm like, boom. Hey Christy, hey Jessica, hey Bobby, oh, it's lovely to see you. I'm doing very well, thank you, my dear. And yeah, you definitely got here in time. And Mark as well, welcome, honey bun, it's lovely to see you. Alrighty, so today's class, I'm just going to get straight into it. Yes, hi Christy, good Sunday to you as well. It's going to be a great Monday as well tomorrow. Thank you so much, Elio. I feel great. Finally, the exhaustion, don't get me wrong, the tiredness is still here, but it's definitely not as bad as it has been over the last couple of these long ass 6 weeks. So it's been really good. Hey there, Nicole, sweetheart. I promise we are going to start just on time for our session this afternoon as well. Okay, so today we are talking about world domination. And I know when I say that, some of you may have, Stewie from Family Guy in your head plotting. The kind of world domination I'm talking about today is actually indeed domination of your world. However, it is coming from a perception of a god and not of a mortal. So we're not talking about, hey, how are we going to conquer this material world the way an ego would want to dominate a world? Firstly, the ego is very shallow. It only knows this world as what it sees in front of it, right? And sees that there are other people in front of it and, hey, let's dominate it. We're not going to be doing that. So we're going to be talking about the domination of your world as the god and goddesses that you are, as the fractals of source that you are, as the source you are. Okay? So let's get crack-a-lackin' on this one. So firstly, I've got my notes here because this was when I was thinking of like, hey, what do I want to teach today? My intuition was like, world domination. So I'm like, okay, you know what? Clearly this is the ethereal wanting to come out and know more about, or to say this. So I've got my notes in front of me today, which I will be going through. So firstly, in order to dominate your world, don't worry about the small things. Everything is going to work out just fine. And I know we hear that all the time, but really, truly, that's what it's like. Secondly, tell yourself how much you love and admire yourself, right? Now, this kind of love and admiration and, expression of this and appreciation and gratitude for yourself, I really do mean it. It has a lot of basis when we go through the rest of this class for today. So, love and admire yourself and appreciate yourself. And also, getting us into the mind frame, right, to understand what's about to happen. Worlds are created from your inner core, from your source, not the external barrage of horseshit and fluctuating wants and needs that we experience on a day-to-day basis. So whenever we're thinking of, oh, I want to make a difference in the world, we are going to rally, we are going to get a protest going on, we are going to, we can't do anything unless we all come together. False. Your source, your world is created from right here. All right? Because I would like to remind everybody that this is a holographic simulation that we are all living in. Much the same like when you dream. All right? When you go to bed and you lay your head down at night, you are dreaming. That is a simulation that is being created within your consciousness. This material dimension is no different. Okay? So, with that being said, this is why we are focusing on the control and the domination of our internal world and understanding how it works. Good afternoon, Nicole. Oh, thank you so much, sweetness. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling all this good ass energy. Okay. So the concept of world creating is you are building the seed to create your world or to dominate your world, or the experience that you're having is, again, coming from right here. Hey, Shay, sweetheart. Welcome, honey bun. So the seed to all of your creation is from here, and we are using our willpower and our energy to sprout that seed and nurture it and build accordingly around it. So those are some key things to think about. Now let's go on to how, step by steps. I've got 4 steps for you with a little bit of bullet points as well on how to dominate your world. So firstly, I want to break down the definition of dominate and world, because whenever we are creating, we have to understand the terminology that we're using. We have to understand truly what it is that we are saying. Hey there, Ron. Hey, Candelaria, sweetheart. Welcome, honey bunny, and thank you so much. I feel good too. So firstly, let's look at the term or the concept of world. The dictionary defines it as the earth, together with all of its countries, people, and natural features. Okay? So when we are thinking of the world that we are looking at just that. All of the countries, people, and natural features that we as individuals are experiencing. Right? Because again, it all comes from this core source. So if we are experiencing it, it is our world, right? Because that is where it was created. So, sorry, Shayla, you are in the way of the computer. I will put you there. Now, domination. Let's look at the definition of domination. The exercise of control or influence over someone or something, or the state of being so controlled, okay? So again, thank you so much, Ron, I appreciate that. So when I'm saying domination, right? Again, to exercise the control or influence over someone, which would be yourself, or something also, which is yourself and your creation of what's going on, and controlling that creation. So let's proceed on. So step number 1, in order to successfully dominate your world, you must perceive yourself as the world, which is your world. I think we've kind of already went through those bits and pieces earlier. But why is that so important, right? Because a lot of times, and I want you to think of the way the world works, and we're going to use our own bodies our own vessels as a distinction or a description for this, or just to work us out. You are, of course, you have your arms, you have your legs, you have your chest, you have your hips, your feet, and everything. You identify that as mine, or I'll say it is your vessel, it is your body, right? However, within your body or your vessel, there are organs, there are tissues, there are different locations. These can be looked at as your countries, right? You have the country of the heart, then you have the country of the kidneys, and then you have the country of the liver and the countries of the intestines, right? That is all you. And then the people in that countries are all the individual sentient little cells that make up these countries and make up these passageways and everything that is, again, you, right? So if you can come to the comprehension that your body is you, is your world, is literally of yourself, try to expand that out now to be like, okay, well, if I can have that same perception upon the countries and the sentient little beings that is me, that makes up me, let me expand that and just humor myself for just one moment and perceive that the world is also me. Okay? All right, I hope we're on there. So, with that, each source fractal is a creator. And the experience you are having is indeed of your own creation. Such the same as when you are in a dream. This is a creation of your own energy for you to experience. So let's go with that again. So each source fractal is a creator, and the experience you are having is indeed a creation of your own creation. Just the same way, your vessel at this moment, your body, with all of its different countries and sentient beings and everything like that, is an experience designed of your own creation. Now you may tell me, well, Kulippa, I didn't create my body or my vessel. My mama and my daddy created my vessel with all of the DNA from my ancestors. That is how I created my vessel. Well, that's how it formed. That's how that happened when you were a baby. But who you are at this very moment, the identity you hold, the functioning of your vessel, the way you are made up is entirely based on the decisions that you have made and controlled within your world, which is your vessel, since you had the ability to choose your own food, choose your own environment, choose where you want to go, choose what you want to do, right? And your vessel has morphed and changed in accordance to your environment and who you are and what you are doing, right? So it is, of course, of your own creation. Hey, Joyce, sweetheart, welcome. And Sarah, welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, so again, this is why it is important to perceive yourself as the world. Now, we accept this, even when we are looking at this is a creation of your own energy as you experience, such as a dream, as I was mentioning earlier. Now, we can accept, when we are dreaming, and this is another way to look at it as well. When you lay your head down at night, so as we have accepted that this is our physical vessel and this is our physical world, when we dream at night or when we meditate, we accept that that is our ethereal world. We accept that this experience that we are having is identifying to me. So when I dream of flying skateboards and giant cats and swords and fighting shit and everything, I very, very much so accept that was my creation and that was my dream in that moment, right? So if I'm able to accept that, now we accept this as normal, but why do we not accept the same thing within our own conscious experience in this material dimension as well? Because that is because we do not look at ourselves as the world, but being a part of it, right? Which is controlled by an outside source, which technically that outside source also happens to be your inside source. Right? So what I'm trying to say basically within that is we accept that our conscious creates a world within our dream space. But yet the same consciousness that is constantly simultaneously running within every single dimension, which is creating this physical material world at this very moment, right? We don't accept that this collective, that this experience is truly our own as well. It doesn't really make sense when you look at it from this conscious perspective, right? So, good morning there, Sid. Hi, Moon. Welcome, honey bunny. And yes, definitely welcome to the new month of May. It shall bring wonderful flourishing of things, like it is doing with myself. So, again, looking at that, we need to understand that we are not just a part of this world and this material experience, right? We are truly creating it at the same time, right? So again, perceive yourself as the world that you are currently experiencing within at the same time. Step number one. That is definitely step number one. Without this perception, you will always be following the flow of whatever creation is there. And you may kind of think, well, how do we then all live in the same experience? Like, I know what dirt is over here. How come somebody across the other side of the globe also knows what dirt is? How come I can experience trees, and if we're not a part of the same world, then how come there's trees when I take a plane and fly all the way to Japan, right? And that's because the world seed, or again, the core of where creation comes from, is right here. And at the very base and root of it, we are all at our design. Our seed comes from source. So when we are simply flowing within creation, within our conscious creation, whether we are not physically conscious of it at the time, like when we're babies and so forth, the seed inside of us will grow. And thus collectively, as more babies and everything are born, or just the universe in itself, it will automatically flow into whatever the seed of creation is, which is source, which then formulates what it is that we are all experiencing. However, we are still, again, creators, every single one of us. So with that, we have our base that we share, and then what we do is when we create individual or the finer details, like I want to say, or like I want to call it, throughout the globe. Ron, make your home a vacation place you never want to leave. I know, right? And that is why my world, my home, is my vacation place and my place of joy. So I'm like, I'm cool, all right here. Okay, so step number 2 in world domination here. You must allow yourself to feel and leave the conclusions of harmony and to yourself and your inner workings, right? So again, I'm going to repeat that one. Step number 2 in dominating your world, you must allow yourself to feel, okay, and leave the conclusions of harmony to yourself and inner workings, right? So the way that I'm going to explain that, right, is, for example, you are your vessel, your body, as we already know. You do not tell your heart to beat. Okay, you don't say, okay, I need you to go bump, then bada bump, then bump, then bada bump. You don't physically consciously do that with your heart. Of course not. It just beats. Or you do not tell your lungs to inflate to a certain capacity and then deflate. You're not physically going, okay, if I forget to inflate my lungs, I'm going to die. Of course not. You go in and you go out. And that's how it works. Okay? Now, you just breathe. That's basically what it is. However, you do have control or domination, I will say, over setting the pace that your lungs want to inflate and deflate. So I can choose to direct my energy to breathe deeply, let it out fast, or do that. I also have the ability to set the pace of my own heart, right? So even if the situation may be scary, I have the choice to be like, I'm going to find my place of calm, right? Or if I find that I'm like, ooh, I need to get my heart rate going, I can physically affect and dominate and control the pace of my heart by going out and running and doing those things. So I set that control. However, again, I do not try to control it, because micromanagement of the finer details basically causes you malfunction and leads you open to self-harm and to perish, right? So this is why it is so important when you are dominating the world around you, the experiences that you are having, that you are not micromanaging your world. That is not how you control that shit, right? Just like with your vessel. You say what you want, you direct it in the place that you want it to go, but then you just let it flow and you let the internal workings do whatever it wants to do to keep you alive, to keep you functioning. Same thing on the outside. Shay, so no control on being tired. Again, those are when we are looking at the bigger pictures, right? In order to understand why you are tired right now, we have to look at what came before. What have you been doing before? Have you been allowing the fears around you to control and manipulate your energy, which will lead you to exhaustion? And this is how we say, well, no. I choose to analyze myself. I choose to be self-aware. I choose to understand what's going on. And then if you're like, it's not from fear, it's because I'm growing, right? That is why I'm tired. So if you are growing on a consistent basis, right? That's when you're like, I'm always tired. I'm not necessarily keeping up with my own growth and development. And this is where you would do a little bit more. So for example, I understand that physically, I have a hard time physically keeping up with things because my energy is more programmed to the upper chakra points where I process energy. I'm very ethereal in that way. Lots of meditation. So I'm constantly growing. But I recognize that, every time I grow ethereally, my physical vessel requires more time to catch up, right? So that I can find balance. And if I want it to catch up with my growth, that means that, yes, I'm going to have to do more walks. I'm going to have to do more physical things to keep up with myself. And once I do that, I find that I'm not as tired, right? So it is all about the awareness of self. But I feel you. I feel you so much. Trust me, girl. I really, really do want to be more, but I'm working on it. You can tell I'm getting flushed every time I talk about exercise because I'm like, I really need to do it. I know it. But I like my yoga, so yeah. But anyway, okay. So that is step number 2. And again, highly recommend, do not micromanage your world around you, right? You gotta let it flow. So step number 3. To do this, to allow yourself to simply feel and let yourself, hey, my sweetheart, welcome, honey bun. Oh, it's nice to see you, dear. In order to allow yourself to feel and just let the harmony happen internally, to do this, you go to step number 3. You must know, and I say know, not think, not suppose, but you got to know what you truly want and why you want it, right? What you truly want and why you want it. Mark, why do I lately always wake up from 2:30 a.m. nearly every morning? For one, it is the new moon, right? You'll find that during the new moons, this is your time where ethereally you're very, very, you're sensitive, where the physical vessel is more like, it's not daytime, so I'm not really ready to go for a jog and go to work and do these things. So your physical vessel is kind of like, no, I'm still gonna shut down, but this is where your consciousness is like, I'm awake. And so you're sitting there like, I'm too tired to do anything else, but now I'm just sitting here thinking. And that's because during the new moon, it is a time of release. It is time to release those fears. It's time to let go of any emotional baggage that you are carrying, let go of any cycles that you are holding on to that are not serving you. So that when you do actually process this, you get more onto your world domination, So I always look at this, that if you are like very, very many people who are still waking up between the hours of 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. on a regular basis, what is your consciousness trying to tell you? Because you need to be consciously aware in this moment in order to process energy and remove it, right? And I'll hold my hands up. There's been plenty of times where I couldn't get a lick of sleep until I started to truly listen to my intuition. And because before I used to be like, I'm just going to roll over, get my laptop and start streaming anime, or watch some Netflix, or go on my phone and start scrolling. And I realized that I'm like, oh, if I'm awake, I got to put down the distraction and I got to do my inner work right now, because this is the best prime time to do it. And my consciousness, my heart is going to keep me awake until I get it done. And once I spend a little energy processing out the fear and just doing it, I fall right back to sleep. And I'm like, okay, complete. I hope that works. Hi, Iona, sweetheart. Oh my God, 2 days ago I was wondering when are you going to do a live with a topic like this? There you go. Here we are. Today is the time. So I'm glad you made it. Okay, so going back to step number 3. To do this, to follow through on steps number 1, which is, of course, recapping, perceiving yourself as the world, right? Everything that you're experiencing is you. Get into that perception and then allowing it to flow to find your natural harmony, just the same way you have a natural harmony and rhythm that your vessel does for you to keep you alive. Same thing that is happening in the external as well. There's a rhythm and a harmony to what you are creating and what you are seeing and what you are controlling that is keeping you sustainable, functioning, and alive and experiencing all the things that you want to experience. So, again, to do this, you must know what you truly want and why you want it. And this is where we go into the concept of control. Now, control, when we look at this in the definition of control, the power to influence or direct people's behavior or the course of events. That is the defined definition of control. It is, where I'm taking that though, it is to give direction, right? So when you are flowing and dominating and mastering the world and your experiences, you must give it a direction. Because if you have accepted that I am responsible for my world, I am responsible for my experience, well, now you are also responsible for knowing what it is that you want to experience, right? Because too often what happens is a lot of people, when they do not have this control over their life, they fall victim or fall into the victim mentality of, why does this always happen to me? I did nothing to deserve this. I'm a good person. Why do these things? And so on, right? And it's because it's like, yeah, you need to know what direction you're taking so that you can avoid these obstacles. So, direction. This is what you need to learn. This is what you need to learn, is that you are not controlling the finer details. As we mentioned before, you're not controlling the way your heart beats. You're not controlling the way your lungs expand. But you are giving the direction you want in order to flourish and grow within, right? And that's basically what it is. To do this, you must know what you truly want and why, as we mentioned. So steering your energy will allow you to achieve and accomplish the experiences you seek and avoid hardships that would otherwise cause you harm. Okay? So, and this is one of the reasons why, if you ever come and get a reading or have a session with me, and so many people are asking me, well, what should I do? Where should I go? And one of the main things I always come back with is, well, I'm not going to tell you what you should do or where you should go. I'm going to ask you, what do you want? Right? And I tell you, when that question of what do you actually want comes in, sometimes it's like, shit, I don't know. And then we're like, well, there you go. If you don't know what you want, how is the universe and the world going to formulate around what you actually do want? Because even if it does give you what you want, will you be able to recognize? And this is why we need to know it, right? So, if you are at that phase where you're kind of stuck on that, I highly, highly recommend you taking at least 30 minutes out of your day or as much time as you need to answer the questions as to what do you want? And this is not just from being a part of being in the world. Like, oh, I want to go on vacation, I want to take a nap, and I want to experience having all my bills paid off. That is a very smaller kind of want. Think of what do you want in the world that you are living in. If you had the ability, which you do, or let's look at Minecraft. You know that kids game Minecraft? And how when you see, like, I remember my kids used to play Minecraft and they'd be telling me like things like, Mommy, I got a mansion and look what I did. I put a pool over here, I did all this, and everything is kind of going in there, right? They had direction. They knew what they were doing. But I want you to think that if this world around you is like a Minecraft game, right? What do you want in it? I'm sure that there's going to be more than just a nap. There's going to be more than just, being able to pay your bills. Why not think bigger? Create more. Go deeper into it and see what you can actually accomplish, right? Whatever that may be, because truly, you are limitless. Right? Okay. And of course, this also knowing what you want also, like mentioned, helps you to avoid hardships. So for example, I know that I want a world full of fully awakened people. That's in my world that I am currently dominating, creating, and those who join me in my world will find spiritual advancement, evolution of their consciousness, and full growth to be who they truly are and work towards the full potential that they have inside them. And whatever that is, I want to see and create it. And I want to see and watch you create it, right? Because I find that really, really enjoyable. So because I know what I want, anything that is not within that realm, I discard. or does not even come up into my experience for me. So with that being said, bye, Felicia. And hence why I'm surrounded by such wonderful individuals, people who are always advancing. You know, that's what's happening in my world. And I'm hoping that's what's going to happen in yours too. But, yo, it is what you make it. Hey, Luke House there. After all, we write our own scripts. Make something you want. Exactly. So let's have a look here. Okay, yep. Ron, I made it to you for a reason. There you go. You know, and by the way, I welcome so many individuals into my world, you know, for as long as you wish to be here, right? If you want to be within my flow of this creation and advancement, then shit, let's do it. Do expect some waking up between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. to clear away negative energy. Do expect to go through high sensitivities and lots more intuition and guidance, and do expect to have to let go of working a regular 9 to 5, because that shit doesn't work in my world. We do what the fuck we want, which is advanced spiritually, yes, and have good conversations and go for walks and do yoga and drink smoothies. Okay, anyway, last part here, step number 4. Thank you so much, Shay. Bless you, I love you guys. Lastly, step number 4, after we've all done this, we gotta flow, right? This is essential, because the creation of a world, or energy in general, which is what we are to our core, is never stagnant. It is always in motion. It is always flowing. Like a river, like the wind, like whatever, anything else that you can think of that has a current, you know, we are constantly flowing. And we have no choice in the matter of this, right? Because it's simply what our makeup is. So if you do not flow, right, within your own energy, within your own course of creation and control and domination of the world that you are creating, or the world that you want to be in, if you don't flow with it, you are not going to go anywhere. If you're not flowing with it, then you're flowing somewhere else. You're flowing into shit that you don't want, things that you don't desire, and the hardships that we are trying to avoid in the first place. Right? And then I'm saying that, like, hardships are a part of life. Waking up and being tired is a part of life. Going through growing pains is a part of life. You know, it's not necessarily enjoyable during those times, but at the same time, it's not like you're actually dying, you're growing, you know, so your survival is still cool. So, again, why is the flow essential? You need to allow the course of events to unfold. Whether you perceive these courses of events to be good, to be bad, to be sad, to be terrible, or to be like joyous and exciting and happy, you must allow that process to happen. And the best way I like to describe that is, if you have a baby, right? And we love seeing those babies. We love seeing the cheeks. We love seeing the giggles. We love seeing the smiles and all of these things. However, we also know that they're going to need teeth for when they're adults. Now, what would happen if we tried so desperately to stop our children from going through teething pains? For one, it wouldn't happen because those teeth are coming in regardless. And two, all we would be doing is wasting energy, which is, again, when we look at this, to alter this flow, that is our natural course, based on the finer details of, we don't want to feel hardships, we don't want to feel those pains, those growing pains, is a direct violation of step number 2, which was, you must allow yourself to feel and leave the conclusions of harmony to yourself and your inner workings. So, again, and also, at the very least, it's going to cause a massive mismanagement of your energy and fatigue and exhaustion, at the very least, right? So, your flow is very much so essential. Now, don't get me wrong. So many of us have been very, very much so scared to flow. We have been scared to surrender to our own wants and wishes and the will that our energy of our core that is trying to create around us, right? It has been tainted by so many lies, so much manipulation. It has been tainted by the ego, which resides purely in the head. And so the worlds that we are experiencing, so I want you to think, if you are experiencing a world that is full of hardship, that is full of lies, that is full of pain and suffering, that, my dears, is a world that has been created with your core energy, but based on your ego. And I know you could be like, Kulippa, I'm not responsible for, for my circumstances. I grew up in a poor neighborhood, or I grew up in poverty, or I grew up in with a lack of resources. My hardship was not of my own choice and my own design. On a larger scale, on an incarnation kind of scale, yes, we actually did choose it. we actually did, and I know that's not a very common or something that people want to hear. But we did choose it because that's exactly what our consciousnesses and our souls needed at that time. Because when we are born into a life where we have too much or without any sort of opportunity to grow, we tend to be, there's been so many past life readings that I've done where individuals have experienced such hardship, but their soul grew so much from it. Versus the lives, and I've done this, I've looked at the lives where it's like, well, I was a really rich person because I didn't want to be that, I didn't want to go through such hardship again. So in my next life, I chose to be rich. And the thing is, every time an individual chose to be incarnated into wealth and without any hardship. So for example, thinking you're wealthy, but also your parents are wonderful. You have everything that you need. Yes, and that was it. They tend to not actually develop their souls or their consciousness. It's kind of like having a vacation lifetime, where you're just like, oh, I'm just having a vacation. All right, when I pass away from this, because there's a lot less conscious evolution, which means there's a lot less opportunity to discover who you truly are as the God that you are. And so you just kind of live a nice vacation life as a mortal for a moment there. And guess what? The next life you hit, it's going to be one of hardship. So that's like, all right, vacation's over, let's learn. Right? So, but anyway, I know that was one thing there, but yes, we can avoid these hardships though. Like even I give within my own experience, I was not raised with a silver spoon in my mouth. I was raised in poverty, in a really, really small little town where the population was only 500 people. And so I didn't even know. I had one rich friend, which was the only doctor in the small little town. And I didn't know cable until I went over to their place, and I was in double digits at that time. So, this like, oh, satellite dishes, wow, this is crazy. So again, and even just sharing with you as well, there was very many times that my dad would come home with food from the dump, that the supermarket literally hauled off to the dump, and we'd have to check and see if it was worth eating and so forth like that. And there were really, really hard times. That was my route where I began, right? And if I would have allowed myself to become victim of my circumstance, to say that, oh, this is what life is like, this is what I create, and this is what the world is like, then I would no doubt be like very many people have accepted that, but I chose not to. I chose that, nah, man, I got two hands, I got two things, I don't like this shit, I'm out, and that's where we are. And Dre, it's funny what you think is rich then too, right? I know, right? I thought, shit, you got a satellite, when DVDs were just coming out, and I'm like, oh, the movies on this? Those kind of things. It was crazy. But anyway, so you are definitely in control of your own world in terms of that. Now, with that being said, today's lesson is actually not going to be a super long one. I'm not taking the whole hour. So if you have any questions or queries based on this class at this very moment, please, now is the time to put them in there. Hey, Karen, sweetheart, welcome. And Alicia as well. Hi, honey bunny. It's lovely to see you guys. Now, if there is any other questions or queries, then please let me know now. Let's have a quick discussion. Otherwise, I'm going to call that a day, and let you be for your Sunday. And that's just because I do actually have a session booked in the next couple of minutes, so I gotta make sure I'm on time for that. Not that I don't want to be on time for you guys, but same thing. So, any questions or queries that we have based on how to dominate your world, or what it is, or any other tips and hints that I can give you. One of the main things, or one really quick hint and tip that I can give you in order to, Rushen, what's the difference between this and abstinence? That is a wonderful, wonderful question. So there is not a huge, huge difference between this and abstinence. However, abstinent people really do walk a path of their own, right? Really do walk a path of their own. And they will find that it hits them a lot harder when they are not in complete awareness of knowing what they want and why they want it. That is an incredibly strong step when it comes to an abstinent individual. So abstinent people can, when they are following there, they can really, really evolve, right? And very, very quickly if they choose to go in that direction, as their ability really pushes them forward very quickly for that. However, if you are not an abstinent person, it just means that you have a little bit more of a pace you can go at as well. But not only that, this is coming from the perspective of your deepest internal core, right? So the origins of where your energy is coming from. And abstinence builds from that at the same time. Oh, thank you so much, sweetheart. I appreciate the share. Then thank you so much. I love you guys. Thank you, Arthoa. Elio, I'm confused. If the world is a holographic projection from inside me, is Kulupap then real, or just a figment of my holographic reality? Beautiful. Beautiful. That is a fantastic question. So, source fractals, when they come into contact with each other, they are both very much so real. But also remembering that a source fractal is a fractal of the whole entire consciousness. So Elio, what I look at that, and then of course what we have is we have entities, we have, there's no more programs anymore, but we have the entities and the things that are not really ourselves at the same time. So look at it this way, Elio. You are me, and I am you. So in this dream world that we are sharing collectively, I'm talking to myself. All of you are me, and I am all of you. We are simply having a conversation in our head, which is creating this reality for us to literally talk to each other, right? So that's really the grand design of what's going on when you look at it from a larger perspective. However, if we want to look at it as our individual perspective as well, yes, I am very much so real, and so are you. However, we are just having a joint experience at this very moment during this interaction, okay? And the way you understand, well, holy shit, how do I know if somebody on the street is somebody I'm sharing an interaction with? And that's where we got to get into our feeling, right? You can feel yourself. You can feel your source. And when your source is in another individual, which is also you, you can also feel them, right? And this is why we all have empathy and can identify and vibe and resonate with people and any living thing, which is us and part of our creation. And hence the reason why a nightmare or fear or something that we are holding on to that we still, yes, indeed created, doesn't feel like us. It doesn't feel like our core. It is our creation, but at the same time, it is not our... It is part of the experience rather than part of the part that created it, if that makes sense. Like when you are dreaming, I can be like, oh, I'm driving a car in my dream. The car is a part of my creation to experience with, but it's not the consciousness that is experiencing. That makes sense? Ron, it's like feeling a dream you had was real. Exactly. Right? But this time we're sharing it. And kind of like the people that you have in your dream when you're talking to them is really a dialogue between yourself and your energy trying to tell you something. You know? So yeah, look at it from that. Perfectly on time as usual. Thank you so much, sweetie. Ron, always prepping, always trying to grow, sending you all good vibes because they truly do save lives. They do. Thank you so much, Ron. We all appreciate it. Rue, it's a multiplayer game. Exactly. Multiplayer, played by one consciousness that is all of us, that we are all discovering and finding that out at this very moment. You know? Okay, perfect. In that case, if there's any other questions, please let them come in. Because I got a couple more minutes, like literally a couple more. But if not, then we're gonna call it a day. Yes. Hey, Jared, welcome, honey bunny. You're probably gonna want to get your replay on this one. No? Okay, cool. In that case, thank you ever so much for your time today. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your Sunday. And please, definitely humor yourself, even if it is for literally just the day. I say go for a whole week. Just humor yourself and just be like, if I'm in a dream talking to other people that are also a part of my dream, what do I want to create? Test out your manifestation. And the way I do it is I say, show me a red ball. So whatever I'm doing in the day, I'm like, I will see a red ball somewhere. And every single time I do that, I always see a red ball. And how many times I see that ball is depending on how many times I want to. But then it's like, snap, okay, I'm dreaming. Let's create some good ass shit in this dream. All right. Love you guys. Mwah. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care. And yes, if you need any extra help on your spiritual awakening journey or wanting just a little bit more, please pop onto my website, book in for a session, and we're going to have a really good time. All righty. Bye, sweeties.